If you are ready to stop fighting over overpriced retail inventory and start manufacturing six figures of immediate equity using the bank's cash, I'll tell you. But first, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to my Rehab Consultant channel to secure your weekly technical real estate edge. So let's dive straight into the numbers. Welcome back to part two of our masterclass series on conquering the housing market through strategic renovation house hacking. In our last episode, we broke down the math on how elite wealth general contractors use FHA standard 203K and conventional homestyle capital to manufacture rental income out of thin air. But today, we need to address the real world operational engine that actually dictates whether your multifamily house hack becomes a massive cash flow asset or a devastating financial nightmare. We are talking about the exact role of your HUD 203K consultant. Let me be completely candid with you. The moment you decide to purchase an as is distressed property with the intent of rolling 50 or 75 or maybe even up to $150,000 of renovation capital into your mortgage, you are no longer just a home buyer. You are officially an active real estate developer. And as a developer, your primary vulnerability isn't the mortgage interest rate. It is the hidden structural chaos waiting for you behind the drywall of an aging building. This is exactly why HUD mandates the involvement of a HUD 203K consultant on all standard renovation projects. We don't just show up at the end to check off boxes. Our role begins the exact millisecond you identify a potential deal and before you lock yourself into an architectural contract. We serve as your initial feasibility shield. When you walk an old duplex or a historical single family home with an eye towards an ADU conversion, your home inspector will tell you if the furnace is old or if a window is sticky. But a standard home inspection report is completely useless to a mortgage underwriter trying to build a renovation escrow. As your HUD consultant, I conduct a comprehensive feasibility study if it's an FHA loan, or a renovation preliminary report if it's a conventional loan. I map out the structural realities of a property against your investment goals. For example, can an existing utility line actually support a second independent detached accessory dwelling unit? Or does the current mechanical core have the capacity to handle separate zone heating for fourplex stabilization? Or is that Boeing basement wall a simple grading fix or a $30,000 structural defeat that would instantly blow your budget out of the water? We filtered out those unviable projects within the first 48 hours, shooting your capital, protecting your earnest money deposit, and ensuring you never write an offer on a building that is physically or financially impossible to rescue. So, if you want to stop guessing and start underwriting with absolute certainty, I'm going to remind you again, hit that like button now. And let's break down the mechanics of an official work write-up. Once we establish that your single family or multifamily assets or ADU projects is structurally feasible, the next phase of the consultant roles kick in. Constructing the official work write-up. This document is absolute law of your job site. It is the single most important piece of paper in the entire renovation ecosystem, and it forms the legal backbone of your loan approval. In a traditional home remodel, a homeowner signs a vague two-page contract with a general contractor that says something generic like a remodel kitchen, update plumbing, install new flooring, estimated cost $45,000. That's the type of loose, ambiguous documentation. It's a fast track to a legal dispute, massive cost overruns, and unexecutable projects. General contractors love vague contracts because they allow them to hit you with endless change orders the second they uncover an unexpected pipe, an unleveled ceiling grid, or a warped floor. A work write-up completely eliminates the vulnerability through meticulously data-driven specification. I break down the entire physical structure into explicit, highly precise architectural line items. We specify the exact scope of work for every single trade down to the unit measurements. We don't just say fix the roof. The work write-up states tear down 2 layers of existing asphalt shingles on a 2,400 square feet of primary roof deck. Inspect and replace up to 4 sheets of a half-inch CDX exterior plywood sheathing. Install ice and water shields at all eaves and valleys. Lay down 30-year architectural dimensional shingles. Clear and replace 120 linear feet of 5-inch seamless aluminum gutters with matching downspouts. Every single line item is paired with a strict localization architectural cost estimate based on the true material costs and current regional labor rates. This architectural transparency completely levels the playing field. When you hand this work write-up to a competitor's general contractor for bidding, they cannot pad their numbers. They cannot hide fat margins in vague categories, and they cannot hit you with predatory surcharges halfway through the bill. They are bidding on a rigid, standardized framework. Most importantly, this document is what your mortgage underwriter used to establish your initial escrow holdback. It dictates exactly where every dollar of the bank's money is allocated before a single nail is purchased. It protects your personal credit profile from being dragged down by runaway budgets and ensuring that your contractor knows exactly what a standard execution is legally required to trigger a payout. Now, if you're a mortgage loan officer, a branch manager, or even an underwriter routing details through conventional pipelines like Fannie Mae HomeStyle or Freddie Mac Choice Renovation, pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. There is a massive operational misconception in the conventional lending space that a HUD 203K consultants are strictly reserved for FHA government products. Lenders look at the conventional guidelines and see that a formal consultant isn't always strictly mandated by the agency for minor cosmetic updates under $50,000. So they try to save a buck by letting the borrower, general contractor, and an uncertified third-party inspector manage the paperwork alone. Let me tell you from the decades of risk management experience that an absolute nightmare for your warehouse lines and your trailing loan quality. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have specifically tightened their underwriting parameters. Major national investors and aggregators require the direct deployment of an approved FHA 203K HUD consultant to oversee files the exact moment a conventional project features any structural alterations or when the total renovation costs cross the $50,000 threshold. Why is that? Because conventional agencies do not protect your secondary market delivery if the collateral fails mid-construction. Under conventional renovation lending rules, the lender takes on massive corporate recourse during the construction cycle. If a borrower chooses contractors to submit a vague, half-baked bid, runs out of working capital at month 4, walk off the job site, or trigger a mechanic's lien for unpaid lumber yard, the as-is value of that asset drops to zero. If you cannot deliver a complete, finished, fully code-compliant property to Fannie or Freddie within the strict 12 to 15 month completion window, the secondary market will completely reject the delivery, forcing your bank to repurchase a toxic, outdated asset until your own balance. When you use a HUD consultant on a conventional HomeStyle or choice rental product, we act as your institutional risk management firewall. We take the contractor's raw, unreliable estimate and translate it into a legally binding, standardized architectural profile. We verify that the plans and specifications has been meticulously reviewed by a licensed specialist. We establish the mandatory 10 to 20% physical contingency reserves to absorb hidden field shock, and we assure that the contractor is fully vetted through a formal profile verification. We give you underwriting desk absolute mathematically certainty that the as-completed appraisal value is anchored by real-world numbers, not contractor's fiction. We protect your capital, we safeguard your secondary market execution, and we transform high-risk conventional rehab lending into a clean, predictable institutional mechanism. But once these bids are locked in and the loan closed, the battle shifts from paper to actual dirt. And that's when the true operational safety loop of a milestone draw inspection system takes complete control of the asset. So let's talk about the absolute most dangerous moment of any residential development project: the day your loan closes and the general contractor walks onto your property. In the residential remodeling world, general contractors has been conditioned to operate under a highly toxic cash flow model. They will look you dead in the eye and say, I need 30 to 40% upfront costs deposit before my crew can show up on Monday. Have to buy the lumber, order the windows, secure the plumbing fixtures, cover my initial labor allocations, etc., etc. A general contractor may be permitted to receive up to 50% of the materials costs up front for a renovation project. However, if you are funding a project with your personal savings or a standard home equity line of credit and hand over a large sum of money before substantial work begins, you are taking on a significant financial risk. The moment those funds leave your account, the balance of power shifts dramatically. The contractor now controls a large portion of your capital, while your leverage is greatly reduced. If their crew is redirected to a larger project, if the cash flow issues arise elsewhere in their business, or if communication suddenly becomes inconsistent, your ability to keep the project on schedule is limited. And for an investor and homeowner alike, protecting cash flow is critical. Release large sums of money before the work is complete can leave a project stalled, delays unresolved, and your renovation plans sit idle long before they have a chance to generate results. Under a properly structured renovation loan escrow, no one gets paid up front. Funds are held securely inside a managed interest-bearing escrow account, controlled by strict milestones draw schedules. The general contractor must perform the work first, to code, match the exact line items specified in our binding work write-up before they can even request the payout. The financial leverage stays exactly where it belongs, entirely into your hands throughout the life of the development. This requires an active immediate structural filter for your business channel. A legitimate and financially stable construction company has zero issues pulling materials on wholesale trade accounts or cover their initial weekly payroll. If a general contractor tells you that they physically cannot start your renovation project without upfront cash advance from a bank, they are telling you that they are financially insolvent. They are trying to use your project money to finish their last job. As your HUD consultant, I help you spot that red flag instantly and remove that general contractor from your team before they can trap your capital. When a contractor completes a designated phase of construction, say the completion of a mechanical rough-in across all units, they formally submit a milestone draw request to the mortgage company. This is where my operational role as your active risk manager becomes an intensely forensic. I physically visit the property for the draw inspection. I do not just stand in the doorway, glance at the new drywall, and say everything looks pretty. I conduct a deep, invasive site audit of unexposed systems. I trace the physical path of the rough-in plumbing to verify proper drop ratios, code-compliant draining loops. I audit the electrical panel load distribution runs to ensure they match the amps capacity required for independent multifamily meters. I check the structural load-bearing headers to ensure your general contractor didn't cut corners on the framing span of your new attached ADU. Every single component must strictly align with the international building codes, local municipality mandates here, and the exact specifications of our original work write-up. If a general contractor installed a cheaper graded installation than what was funded, or if a framing method is out of plumb, I reject that draw instantly. The contractor does not get paid a single cent until those defects is completely remediated on their own dime. Once and only once, every single line item in that specific milestone phase is completely validated and verified in the field. We execute our official draw documentation. We apply our standard $375 draw inspection fee, which is safely built directly into your loan closing costs, so it never come out of your pocket during construction. Crucially, before we authorize the mortgage bank to release a single dollar from escrow to the general contractor, we legally secure an unconditional lien waiver in every draw phase. We close every single legal loophole. That rigorous independent oversight keeps your general contractor on a tight, highly predictable production timeline, protect the integrity of your construction escrow, and completely eliminate the risk of a contractor walking away with your capital or leaving you stuck with a half-finished shell of a building. It transforms house hacking from a chaotic roll of the dice into a clean, predictable corporate process. So if you are ready to take that immediate and definitive action and capitalize on single, multi-unit properties, forced equity or ADU conversions to out-navigate today's choke retail market, you must arm yourself with the exact structural parameters before you even speak to a retail loan officer or write an offer. So head over to myrehabconsultant.com right now and download the Ultimate Renovation Loan Checklist for home buyers and realtors. This free, comprehensive digital resource translates the complex FHA guidelines, underwriting appraisal metrics, and milestone draw rules we covered today in this clean, mobilized, optimized checklist you can deploy straight from your smartphone while walking potential properties. And if this class crosses 500 likes, I would keep that direct download link pinned at the absolute top of the comment section below for immediate free access. So go ahead and smash that like button. Subscribe to my Rehab Consultant channel to secure your weekly technical real estate edge, and let's execute this investment plan together.